Hi, I welcome you all on my channel An Evolving Mind of Compliance. It's been very long, I couldn't shoot a video, but today I find a very relevant topic to discuss with you. Recently, there has been a fine to one of the exchange houses in UAE. It's 200 million dirhams of fine. It's a very heavy fine. So there is so much of concern in the market that what had happened, what had not happened. First of all, we must understand one thing. The financial institution, those who are providing these services to such a kind of a business need not worry about it. Because at least fine and everything conveys that these exchange houses, money transfer operators, or MSB and all are well regulated. Because the fine comes because when the regulatory audit have taken place, and therefore the fine has come. So that means it is well regulated. Instead of general trading companies, the management consultancy company which have no oversight, no regulatory controls, these things have at least the regulatory controls. So they need not to worry about it. And second thing is, I have been reading the New York Department of Financial Services consent orders, FCA consent orders, and other European Union authorities consent order. I have seen that these consent orders are because only of the controls, either controls, not that you have undertaken particular transaction, you have onboarded this customer, no. It is only purely based on the controls. So what are the control, whether the control is there in the place or not at the first point, the efficiency of the control design, the control architect. So these are the four broader parameters which regulators look at. For example, under the risk appetite statement, the KPI, key performance indicator of the entire compliance program, financial crime compliance program is defined. Like for example, alert to STR ratios. For example, the caseload per employee. So these are all the indicators that yes, there could be a deficiencies in control, there could be deficiency in the compliance control. I give you one example. Let's say for example, you have a control of real-time screening of the transaction which is put through your system. But the people, those who are conducting the transaction, they themselves are verifying them, they themselves are clearing the alerts. The people, those who are conducting the transaction, they themselves are doing the enhanced due diligence or due diligence. So although you have the control, but its structure, its efficiency is at stake. So the regulators will definitely going to look at this kind of things. So there is always a anxiety amongst the people that yes, if we undertake this transaction, nothing. You have to have a 360-degree view. If you have a control in place, you take transaction, you onboard the customer. That's the other point, which the tone from the top. Like for example, there are things. There is a pendency in the compliance department. The structure is not properly working. The controls are not properly efficient. The head of compliance is not putting its effort. The head of compliance is not looking at it. The head of compliance is not properly transcribing it to the management. The head of compliance is completely lack of understanding, or he is not properly working in a way that he should be working. He should be guiding the management. What controls do we need to have? What kind of a system? What kind of transaction monitoring optimizations? How to design the enhanced due diligence process and all those things. So the fifth point is this, that this could be the reason that head of compliance. Therefore, the head of compliance has been made personally liable because they are the those who have to describe to the management properly. They have to ensure there are proper controls into the system. The head of compliance should be of this much of knowledge that even at the nook and corner of the organization, they should know what person is sitting, what kind of a vulnerability, what kind of a threat could come. Let's say for example, cashiers are sitting maybe at the farthest of the branch. If the cashier is in, what could be a threat, could be vulnerability from coming to the organization from that particular desk. So this kind of knowledge and understanding, in-depth analysis should be there with the head of compliance to guide the management. Secondly, just to make things easy, not to get involved in the things, the head of compliance comes with a statement that it is beyond our risk appetite statement. I give you an example. A traffic policeman. Traffic policeman will always say you to drive. He will never say not to drive. He will say drive with a full control like seat belt, indicator on, proper lighting on in the night time, stopping at the signal and all those things. Means there are traffic rules being defined. You have to follow that set of rules and then you have to drive. They don't say don't drive. Similarly, let's say I give you one more example of a doctor, of an endocrinologist, those who look after the diabetic patients. They never say don't eat this, don't do that. They say eat in moderation. Like for example, complex carbohydrate. They say eat it in moderation. They don't say don't eat it. Pure or plain carbohydrate, they say eat if you are able to burn your calories. Like a normal human male body required 2000 to 2200 calories a day. So if you are able to burn to 2 to 300 calories in a morning walk or in whatever manner, so you can afford to have even a raw sugar or a little bit of sweet. So everything is in moderation. They don't say don't do this, don't do this. They describe, they tell how to do it, how to manage it, how to keep your sugar levels at a particular level. So that's the role. The compliance should be complementary to the business. The marketing people and one compliance people should always be adjunct, so that marketing people are sourcing something. The compliant people should be able to tell them how we can make this transaction compliant, how we can enable the business. The compliance professional should have, the head of compliance should be of the mindset, I have to enable the business, I have to enable the transaction. Just to say that it is beyond risk appetite statement or we can't do, it's a very easy thing. Ultimately, they are cutting down on the business. It's like we are sitting on a branch of a tree and we are ourselves are cutting that branch, and ultimately we are going to fall down because the ultimate salaries are coming from the business. So the compliance professional, particularly the head of compliance sitting in the boardroom, they should be able to give the trust and confidence to the management. We are not opposed to the business. We are enabler of the business within the compliance framework. If any transaction could be undertaken, that should be viewed in a 360-degree view. That should be full due diligence to be done. I tell you, more than 80% of the transaction could be undertaken, more than 80% of the customer could be onboarded just because of lack of our understanding, or we don't want to involve, we don't want to dwell deep into the things, we simply say no. And because of this, the compliance is earning sometimes a bad name in the organization or sometimes bad name in the society as well. Yes, we are the soldiers, we are the guards to protect the integrity of the financial system. Yes, that should be there. But at the same time, for integrity to be maintained, we have to take a very deep dive so that we should understand the things in a full manner. So I must say that we must not be afraid and have fear psychosis about these fines. The fines and everything comes not you have onboarded a ABC customer or you have undertaken some transaction. It comes only when because of the controls. The controls are inefficient, controls are not properly designed, the architect of the controls and all those things remain tardy. And the second thing is the management is not being properly informed by the compliance head, and the compliance head himself lacks in understanding and he is not designing the program the way it should have been designed. We are much away from the regulatory expectations. We are not in line with the regulatory expectations. We are not doing proper risk assessment of the system. There should be a separate risk assessment for each and every vertical department and branch so that we could have proper risk assessment, threat assessment, vulnerability assessment, so that we should be able to properly guide the management, and we must become the enabler of the business. So the bottom line is, make your controls properly efficient, strong. The head of compliance should also convey the proper message to the management. They should be able to convince with their understanding to the management. They should give the confidence to the management about the outcomes by doing this, and they should further give the confidence to the management that we as a compliant professional are enabler for the business. We are complementary. It's like a golden handshake. So we are not away from the business. With this, I think the compliance fraternity across the world should move forward, and to avoid the fines, they must focus on the controls rather than de-risking the thing, deloading the thing, cutting down on the business. No, that's the wrong attitude. Even FATF have highlighted that's the wrong attitude. So we must focus on our control. With this, I thank each and every one of you for listening to me, and your subscription to my channel, your liking and your comments will definitely going to give you motivation to me, and I am going to bring you more and more relevant content which will dispel the darkness which has engulfed the entire compliance fraternity, and people are afraid of doing the business and the organizations are losing on the business. Thank you very much.